Good morning, everyone. Today is Chaf Nisan. Tonight is going to be Chaf Aleph Nisan. Chaf Aleph Nisan is Shvi Shel Pesach. The Rabbeim say about Shvi Shel Pesach that on the 48 hours of Shvi Shel Pesach in Chutz La'aretz, so the gates of heaven are open, and anything that we ask for on Shvi Shel Pesach will be granted. So we have to use the every second of Shvi Shel Pesach. We have to use it wisely with learning Torah and focusing on our on the things that we're asking for the rest of the coming year. The daf for Shvi Shel Pesach is going to be daf vav, and we left off yesterday daf vav amud aleph, the first line, the last word on the line. We're in the middle of a series of answers from Rav Yosef on the reason why a woman who's a Sotah, that her husband died, that she does not do yibum if they didn't have children. She can't do yibum with her brother-in-law, but she could do chalitza. So the Rav Yosef was answering why we can't do yibum. So we left off vav amud aleph at the end of the line. V'ikad amri, there's another version that Amar Rav Yosef, that Rav Yosef said that hakasav kroi acher in the Torah on Parshas Kiseitze, quoted this pasuk yesterday. It says that when a man marries a woman and she doesn't find favor in his eyes, because he's suspecting her or because she cheated on him, so he should divorce her because of, let's say, for Christos. He writes a get to her. He gives it to her and she goes out of his house. And then it says, she goes out of his house, and she goes and she marries another man. The Torah says, Li'ish acher, to another man. Acher means different. And the Rav Yosef says, the Torah calls him a different man, because this man is not similar to the first man, to the first husband. Why? The first husband, the first husband, he evicted this wickedness from his house. His wife was cheating on him, so he divorced her. And this second husband came and took an adulterous woman into his house. And you're going to say that we should make her do yibum. We shouldn't, because the man who marries her second is called the ish acher, because it's not a positive thing. So the Torah doesn't make him do yibum. Okay. So Amar le Abaye said to him, if this is what you're going to say, if this is the case, if so, if taka, where you say that she doesn't do yibum because the Torah calls the man an acher. So then what would be the case if someone else married her? She has a second husband, and then the second husband dies also without children. So then, maybe we should say that she shouldn't marry another person after that. She shouldn't do yibum with the second husband's brothers. Why? Because that cause of kroi acher. Because the Torah calls the person that marries her an acher, but the Torah wouldn't make her marry an acher. But we know that that's not the din. If she got divorced from if the first husband died, the second husband marries her, and then the next husband dies also, the din is that she could do yibum. So if that's the case, if the Torah calls him an acher, why would we make him do yibum? Says the Gemara, Rav Yosef answers, Gabe Dahai, in relation to this second husband, Mia B'Shem Toiv Avakaima, she is married to him and she has a good name, meaning she didn't commit adultery in the second marriage, since the yavam of the second husband, right? The brother-in-law of the brother of the second husband is connected to the second marriage, and the second marriage was a kosher marriage. It was all good. So the Torah can still say that they should do yibum. He's not counted as an acher because in relation to the second marriage, it was a wonderful, beautiful marriage. Okay. Now we have another answer to this question from Rava. Rava says, the reason why the Sotah cannot marry the brother-in-law is if the husband died, is because we have a kal v'chomer, and a fortiori. Im nesra b'muter law, the kal v'chomer is as follows: if the wife is becoming usher on her husband, and the husband is mutter law, someone that's allowed to be with her. The husband, before she cheated on him, was allowed to be with him, was allowed to be with her. So it's mutter law, someone who's permitted to her. Also law, like kol sheken, someone who was initially usher to be with her, which is her brother-in-law. One of the 21 arois in the Torah is a man's brother's wife, which means that her brother-in-law is usher to him, is usher on her, as one of the arois in Isser Kares. So at the moment that she cheated on her husband, so for her husband, who she was originally mutter, she became usher. So for sure, to the brother-in-law, who she was usher to initially, she should continue to be usher. Good. So that's what Rava's answer is, that this is kal v'chomer, that if her husband who's mutter, she should for sure be usher to her brother-in-law who's anyways usher to her. So Amar Abaye questions Rava, and he said, if you're going to bring that kal v'chomer elamayata, according to that logic, then kohen gadol shekidushes almana. If you have a kohen gadol that married in almana, the Torah says in Parshas Emor that a kohen gadol is not allowed to marry a widow. A kohen hedyot is allowed to marry a widow. Kohen Gadol is not. So Kohen Gadol who marries this widow, and he dies without any children. So v'yeshle ach Kohen Hedyot, and he has a brother who's a regular Kohen, a Kohen Hedyot. So then Leitis Yavim, she should not be allowed to marry. She should not be allowed to do Yibum with this brother. Why? Because Imnes Mutter law, according to Rava's logic, that if she was usher to someone, she became usher on someone who was allowed to be with her, which is her husband, the Kohen Gadol. So then, she should for sure be usher to the brother-in-law. So the Gemara says, no, that's not a good question because it's not comparable. You can't compare the two cases. Because in the case of the Kohen Gadol, she was already usher to marry the Kohen Gadol because they were never allowed to be together. Initially, from the beginning of their marriage, they were usher to be together. So mutter law. How could you say that it's Nesra ben Muterla that she became usher to someone that she was allowed to be with? No, usher lahu. The Kohen Gadol is usher to be with her. So it's not a case of Nesra ben Muterla that she became usher to someone that she was allowed to be with. So then for sure, someone who she's not allowed to be with, she should be her brother-in-law. She should be usher to. The Kohen Gadol originally was usher to be with her, and therefore you can't compare the two cases. And it's not a kal v'chomer; it's a chomer v'chomer. They're both usher. The Kohen Gadol marrying the Salmana was usher l'chatchila, so it's not that she became usher to someone she was mutter to because she was initially usher to her. And therefore, we could still say, even with Rava's logic, that Nesr Mutala, the Asr Lakol Shekain, we could still say that a Kohen Gadol who dies without any children, he was married to an Almana, the Almana is able to marry the Kohen Hedyot, the brother. Okay. So Abaye says, okay, I'll give you a different question. Ella, another question that could refute this. Kalvachimer, Eshes Kohen Shenensa. The case of a Kohen's wife who was raped. So the Torah says, Rashi points out that these halachas come from the Parsha Sotah itself, from our psukim, but in Bamidbar Parakeh, that the Torah says that when you have a woman who cheats on her husband, and it says ve'edein ba, that there wasn't one witness, ve'hi lo nispasa, and she was not forced. So only if the woman was intimate with another man willingly, that's when she's going to be usher to her husband. However, if it was unwillingly, if she was raped. So there, in that case, the Torah says that she could be with her husband. She's still permitted to be with her husband. However, the Torah says ve'ed ein ba, that in this case, the Torah says v'hi lo nispasa, that this case, it wasn't forced, which means that it was only the case of a regular case of rape, that she wasn't forced. She's allowed to be with her husband. A regular case is with a Eshes Yisrael, with a woman who's married to a Yisrael. However, it's coming to exclude an Eshes Kohen, someone who's married to a Kohen. Even if she was raped, the Torah says that she is not allowed to be with her husband anymore. She becomes usher on her husband. So you have an Eshes Kohen, a Kohen's wife that she was raped, and then the Kohen dies without any children. However, the Kohen has a brother who's a Cholol. A Cholol is someone that his father, who's a Kohen, married a woman that he's not allowed to marry. For example, if he married a Grusha, divorced a woman which a Kohen Hedyot is not allowed to marry a Grusha. And they have a child, so that kid is called a cholol. He's defiled from the kuna, and he doesn't have a lot of the dinim of the kohen. He's not able to serve in the Beis Hamikdash. He doesn't do berchas kohenim. He doesn't get the aliyah of the kohen, right? So, and the cholol is allowed to marry this woman who was raped during a marriage. So, just for a second, the kohen is not allowed to marry a woman who was raped during a marriage. So, if she was raped during the marriage, so the husband during that marriage also has to divorce her. And if she was raped during a marriage, so another Kohen is not allowed to marry her either. However, a Chol is allowed to marry her. So if you're going to say that in Nesr b'mutar law, the Asr Laila Kol Shekain, for her husband, she becomes Asr because she was raped. And her brother-in-law, who's a Chol, since he's a brother-in-law, so she's Asr to marry him. During that marriage, during that time, they're usher to be together. So she should for sure become usher to the brother-in-law, but we know that the halach is not so, that if the kohen dies, she's able to marry the cholol because the cholol is allowed to marry her. So if you're going to say this logic, Rava, that in Nesr v'mutalava asr leila kol shekain, then she shouldn't be allowed to marry the cholol either after the husband dies. Because im Nesr v'mutalava asr leila kol shekain. Says the Gemara, Oynas v'Yisrael meishro shari v'gabe dahai miya leka yisura. You can't compare these two cases The reason is because you have to think about it from the beginning. The Rabba's case is where you have two brothers that they're equal. They're on the equal level. And the only difference is that the husband of the wife, the husband of this Sotah is usher to be with her before she commits adultery. Is mutter to be with her before she commits adultery. Then through the adultery she becomes usher to him. The brother the whole time was usher. In our case, however, they're on a different level because since there's the act of the rape itself makes the kohen usher to her, but it doesn't affect her relationship with her brother-in-law. She was usher to be with her brother-in-law milchatchila from the beginning because she's her brother, because she's his sister-in-law. And since they were usher lechatchila, the rape doesn't affect anything. Shenkin with her husband, the kohen, it does affect. Therefore, you can't compare these two cases of our case of the Sotah with the case of the chalal, because the actual rape, which makes her usher to the kohen, doesn't make her usher to the brother of the chalal. She was usher from before. So therefore, when the kohen dies, she's still going to be mutter to be with the brother-in-law because the kal v'chomer is on this actual part itself of the rape that happened. Okay, that's the end of the Gemara. The end of the answers. Bottom line, Sotah, who's a Sotah suffix, which means she didn't drink the water yet. Her husband dies in a regular case. She is not allowed to do yibum with the brother-in-law, but she does do chalitza. And then after that, she can marry whoever she wants. Okay. Now we have the next Mishnah, Masnisin, middle of Vav Amadal. Now these, the Mishnah is going to list cases where the woman who's married to a kohen, and she's going to be usher to eat truma because she's going to be usher to be with the kohen. The following women are not allowed to eat truma once they're married to a kohen. Number one, if the woman tells her husband that I was defiled, meaning these cases are after there was already kinoi and stira, meaning that the husband warned her and she was secluded in front of Adam. But now you have the halacha that she needs to go to the Beis Hamikdash to drink the water. But before she drinks the water, one of these things happens. And there we know for sure that she's gonna. We believe that she's gonna be that she was taket defiled, that she's a Sotah, and she does not drink the water, and she has to get divorced, and she's ushered to the husband the kohen. So number one, if after there's kina and stira, the wife says that I am tmeya, that I was intimate with this other guy. So there we're gonna believe her, and she doesn't go to the Beis Hamikdash. She doesn't drink the water. She's not able to eat truma, and she has to get divorced. So Tosfos points out that we have this case of where a wife tells a husband that I cheated on you in the end of Maseches Nedarim on Daf Tzadik Amud Beis, and over there we have a machlekes Rabba and Rav Sheshes about a case where this woman says I cheated on you. Rav Sheshes says that she could still eat truma even if she's married to a kohen, right? And over there the sugi over there at the end of Nedarim is about when do we take into account the words that the wife is saying, that she cheated on her husband, and when do we say that we don't have to believe what she's saying, right? So how could Rav Shesha say that in Nedarim if our Mishnah over here says that clearly that Chayimeres Me'ani L'cha is Asur Lechem V'Truma? So Tosfos says that the difference is that in our Mishnah we're talking about a case where there was already Kinyan Stira. The guy already warned her and she was already secluded. So therefore when she says that I cheated on you, we're able to believe her. However, in the case of Nedarim, there was no Kinyan Stira. So we don't have to believe her that she cheated on her husband and she could continue eating truma, according to Rav Sheshes. Okay. Next case, or if you have Edim that come and say that they saw that she was intimate with this other guy. I already know that before, that she is not able to eat truma. Another case is if the woman says that I don't want to drink the Sotah waters. So why is she saying that she doesn't want to drink the Sotah waters? Obviously, she's scared that she's gonna die if she drinks the Sotah waters because she knows that she cheated on her husband, and because if she didn't cheat on her husband, she has nothing to be afraid of. Or if the husband doesn't want to make her drink the waters, if there was kinoi and stira, and the husband says that I don't want you to drink the waters, she doesn't drink the waters, and they have to get divorced. Or the other one is if the husband had a relation with his wife on the way to the Beis Hamikdash, where we're going to learn later in the Masechta that in that case the waters would not work on her. And the reason is because the Torah says in the end of Parsha Sotah that when the waters are going to check the woman, and if the waters find out that she's guilty and she's going to die, that's v'nika ha'ishme'ov, and that's if the man is absolved of sin himself. If the man himself sinned, i.e. that he was together with his wife the Sotah, so there the waters wouldn't work on his wife, and they have to get divorced. Okay, Good. More about that case. That case itself is going to be more later in the Masechta. Okay. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Amram. Rav Amram said, "Ha milsa." This thing, Amar lan Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes told us that Anhar lan einin mimas nisin, and he brought a proof. He lit up our eyes to his statement, meaning he brought a proof to his statement from our mission. What did he say? He said like this. He said, "Sotah sheyesh la edim b'medinas hayam." If you have a sotah that she has witnesses that she Taka was intimate with the other guy. But those witnesses aren't here. They're not testifying in Bezdin because they went overseas. They went to a different country. So they're ein hamayim beit genoisa. The waters will not check her. What he's saying is that if there's that the Torah says that ve'edim ba, that there aren't edim that she was intimate with this other person. If she does have edim, even if they're on the other side of the world, if they exist, but they just aren't here to tell us that to give us their edus, the waters don't work on the woman. My timer, how come? The Amar Kra, it says in the pasuk, "V'nistira v'hinitma v'edein ba," that she was secluded and she was defiled. V'edein ba, and there's no edim to tell us about it. Deleka diyada ba, that there's no one that even knows about that there's no one that knows that they were actually intimate. There was no edim there at all. There was no people that saw it at all. Fuke ha, to exclude our case, the ha'ika diyada ba, that in our case, where you have Edom that are in a different country, there are people that exist that are on the other side of the world. They're on the other side of the world, but they know that Shitaka was defiled, and the Torah says that the waters only work if there's absolutely no one that knows that she was defiled, that it's mamish a suffix and no one knows. Then says, Rav Amram says that Rav Sheshes lit up our eyes from our Mishnah. He brought a proof to our Mishnah. The Katani, we learned in our Mishnah, that one of the cases in our Mishnah is that if Edom come, and they say that she was defiled, there she is not able to eat truma, she has to get divorced. So the also Edom Emas. When are these Edom coming? What are we talking about? If the Mishnah is talking about before she drank the water, witnesses came and told us that she was defiled, that she was taka intimate with that guy. So then Zainahi, then she's a regular Zaina, and the Mishnah doesn't have to tell us that because for sure she's not able to eat truma, because in a regular case where you have Edom that come and say that this woman had a relation with another person, even without Kina and Sira, if you have Edom that said that she's not able to eat truma anymore, so that's not a chiddush in the Mishnah. Why would the Mishnah have to say that? So Elo lebasar deshatoni. Obviously, the Mishnah is talking about after she already drank the water, and then Edom came and said that she was defiled, that she had a relation with that guy. So then she's not able to eat truma and she has to get truma. So if you're going to say, like Rav Yosef said, that the waters don't check someone that has Edom on the other side of the world, so shopper, then it makes sense. Since there were Edom somewhere else, that they knew that she was intimate with this guy, and she drank the water, and since there's Edom somewhere else, the Sotah waters aren't going to check her. She's not going to die from them. And then afterwards they came and they said that she was intimate, so then she gets divorced, and it all works out. But if you're going to say that even when there's Edom, but there's somewhere else in the world that even if Edom exists, that she was intimate with this guy, the water still check her, then tigloi milsil mafreya the sadi shakrininu. The fact that she didn't die from the Sotah waters should prove that those Edom are fake Edom, because if the fact that Edom know about it doesn't matter, then she should have died from the water. The fact that she didn't die from the water shows that she's innocent, and these Edom are fake Edom. They're fake news. So Amar le Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef said. Rav Yosef says no. I could say that mayim beit genoisa, that the waters taka do check her, and the Edom come afterwards and they say that she cheated on her husband. So why are they not fake Edom? That she has a schus, she has a merit that keeps her alive. We're going to learn later in the Masechta a machlokes between Rebbe and the Rabbanon and Rav Shimon about whether schus is toila b'mayim mamor. We're going to learn on Daf Chaf the machlokes about whether a woman's merits are able to affect the Sotah process. That if a woman has merits, we're going to learn about the merit of learning Torah, or the merit of supporting her children learning Torah. There, the Sotah waters, they're going to check her, but it takes longer for her to die. She's not going to die right away. It could wait up to 3 years. And in that case, if we're going to hold that as chus toilah, so then even if Edom came after she drank it and she's still alive, we can still say that she was defiled. The Edom are true, and the Sotah waters did work. Right, so Rav Sheshes is Rav Shesh's statement is lavdafka that the Sotah waters don't work on her if there's Edom somewhere else. Meaning it could be that what Rav Sheshes said is true, but at least it's not a proof from our Mishnah because in our Mishnah the Edom came. It could be that she has a schus that's keeping her alive. So what's the machlekes? So here, b'misnavna the Rebbe. In the case of misnavna means that she slowly dies, right? That there's a process that she deteriorates. She slowly deteriorates. The Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah in Daf Chav Beis, Rabbi says chus toila b'mayim amar, that there is chus, there is this merit that hangs in the bitter waters. The Sotah waters are called the bitter waters because of what happens with them. If the woman was taka was taka cheating on her husband, so she's going to die from it, a very gruesome death, and it's called mayim amarim because it's a bitter thing for her. So there's this schus that's toila b'mayim amarim. The schus helps the mayim amarim ve'ino yoledas, and what's going to happen to her? She's going to stay alive. However, she's not going to give birth. Ve'ino mishabeches, she's not going to become more beautiful. Ela misnavna, she's going to slowly deteriorate physically. Ve'eleches, and she's going to slowly deteriorate. And the soif, and at the end, shehi mesav oisamiso, she's going to die with the same death as a regular Sotah. That that her stomach explodes and her thigh collapses. Right, so but it's misnavnas. She slowly deteriorates. So there's that time in between that the Edom come and they say that she was taka defiled. It doesn't mean that the waters didn't check her that she was innocent. It could mean that the waters checked her. She was taka guilty, but she has a schus that's toila. The schus is hanging over her that she is not going to die right away. Navno. According to Rav Sheshes, both the Rabbi and both the Rabbanon hold that she deteriorates, which means that if she's not deteriorating, the fact that Edom came, now it proves, according to Rav Sheshes said that so the waters don't check her if there's Edom. Oh, so the fact that she's deteriorating will prove that if according to Rav Sheshes, if there's loy misnavna and the Edom come, we could still believe the Edom. Why? Because the waters didn't work because there's Edom somewhere else, and according to Rav Sheshes, you have Edom somewhere else. The waters don't work. So according to the Rabbanon, now if the woman drank the Sotah waters and she didn't die, we don't say that's chus. We can say we don't say that's chus toilala because even if chus toilala according to the Rabbanon, she would be misnavna, she would be deteriorating. That's Rav Sheshes. However, Rabbi Yosef holds that the Rebbe havi misnavna, the Rabbanon lay havi misnavna. According to the Rabbanon, we don't say misnavna that she deteriorates. The only machlekes between Rebbe and the Rabbanon is how she dies. According to Rebbe, according to Rav Sheshes, the machlekes between Rebbe and Rabbanon is how she dies. That Rebbe holds that she dies, but Isa Misa and Rabbanon say that she doesn't. And Rav Yosef holds that the Rebbe havi misnavna, the Rabbanon lo havi misnavna, that she wouldn't even deteriorate. Yeah. Okay. And therefore, when Edom come and she's still alive, and they say that she cheated on her husband, we believe the Edom because we say that the reason why she didn't die yet is because of schus, not because of because of schus. Okay. Must have Rav Shimon bar Rashi asked Rav Shimon Omer in schus teleb b'mayim amorim that the schus does not work for mayim amorim. Rav Shimon doesn't hold of schus. Imata Omer schus teleb b'mayim amorim because if you're going to say that it's schus, that there's schus that hangs in the bitter waters, that the woman doesn't die because of his schus. So madchata samayim b'fnei kol hanoshim asher says first of all you're going to push away the water before any women that are going to drink. The women aren't going to be scared to drink the water. I'm going to learn later in the Masechta that we always try to encourage the woman not to drink the water. We try to make her scared because we would rather that she admit that she had cheated on her husband, and then she won't have to drink the water. First of all, she won't die, and we won't have to erase Hashem's name. And if you're going to say that there's plus toila, women are not going to be scared of the water because they're going to see that women drink the water, and even if they were guilty, they still stay alive. And also and also you're bringing out a bad name on those that were pure. Shashasu, that they drink the water, and they were innocent, and they're not going to die because they were innocent. But people are going to say that they're only not dying because of a schus. So obviously, there's no schus in the Maimamar. They're going to think they're going to say that these women that are innocent were guilty. So Elo Shatola and schus, that they're really guilty, but they had a schus, and that's a shame, Rav, that you're making a bad name for them because they really were innocent. Now, going by the reasoning of Rab Shimon, so if you're going to say that also there's another thing that they don't die from, if there's Edom on the other side of the world, so people are going to say they're going to see a woman that drank the Sotah waters and she's going to still be alive. They're going to say she's really guilty, but she has Edom on the other side of the ocean. So says the Gemara, the Reb Shimon Kamrat, you're bringing Reb Shimon's opinion that Reb Shimon midizchus loitalia edim nami loitalu. Reb Shimon, who holds that there's no zchus by the Mayim Amarim, he also holds that edim, that the fact that there's edim on the other side of the world, they also don't make a difference to the Mayim Amarim, and the Mayim Amarim will still work on her, even if there's edim, even if there's zchus. And you can't ask that question to the Chachamim because the Chachamim don't have this problem of Atamitzi Shem Ra al Atahiris. Okay, good. Next, Masiv Rav asked Rav a question. Bringing a braiso that the following women, their minchas get burnt. Asking a question on Rav Sheshes. So the halacha is that when you have a korban mincha, this meal offering, the flour offering that they would bring. So there's two steps. There's kedushas damim, which is when a man designates this flour as the korban mincha. So it has kedusha of the money is holy, which means that if he wants to exchange it, he's able to exchange it for other money and use that money for something holy. However, once he brings it in a kli shores, once he places it in the holy vessel, the Beis Hamikdash, then it has kedushas haguf. The actual flour becomes holy, and you're not able to redeem it. And if it becomes puzzle, you have to burn it. So the following women, their mincha sotah gets burnt because it was already in a kli shores, and the mincha becomes puzzle. Number one, if a woman says that I am taka tame. So if she says that she was defiled, then it comes out that this whole mincha is unnecessary because she's not a sotah anymore. She's a vadai. She's not a sotah suffix. She's a sotah vadai. So this mincha is unnecessary. So the mincha has to get burnt. Or v'shavola edim sheitmeya. Or that you have women edim that came and said that she was defiled. So now the asu edim. When did these edim come? If we're saying that the edim came before you put the flour in the kli shores, so then tepa klchulin. So why do you have to burn the mincha? Just exchange it for money, right? And the flour could become unsanctified. You don't have to burn the flour because the flour isn't holy yet. So ella lebasar the kodesh. It's obviously talking about after it was already in a kli shores. So now, if you're gonna say that the waters do checks a woman who has edim on the other side of the world, so alma bas mekadesh mikrav he b'chi kodesh meikara shaper. So it's gonna come out that when you put the flour in the kli shores, she was a real sotah. And the flour is holy. It's going to be a mincha. And then Adam come and say that she had a relation with another man, that she was intimate with someone else. So then the mincha becomes possible because we see that it's unnecessary, right? But initially it was holy because we thought that she was a sotah. However, so you have to burn the mincha. But if you're going to say that in a case where there's Adam somewhere else, the waters don't check the woman. So tigloi milsa the mafreya, we're going to find out retroactively the ki kadosh meikara betos kadosh that it was only sanctified by accident. It was sanctified by a mistake because we thought that she was a sotah. Turns out that she's not a sotah because she had Adam somewhere else. And Rav Sheshes is saying that if there's Adam, someone else, she's not a sotah b'chlal, the waters aren't even going to work for her. So this whole avodah is unnecessary, and it's a toss, it's a mistake. So therefore, retroactively, the mafreya, the flour should be unholy because it was only sanctified by accident. The tape of and you should be able to exchange it. So Amar Yehuda Midiskarta answers that no. Our case, the case of this price is that when did she commit adultery? These Edom are coming and saying that she committed adultery in the Azara itself, when she's in the Beis Hamikdash. After the flour was already in the Kli Shares, that's when she cheated on her husband. And therefore, the mincha was taka a good mincha. initially, because you thought that she was a Sotah, she was a Sotah suffix, and Shitaka was a Sotah suffix then. So you made the mincha, you sanctified the mincha correctly, and then Eidim come and say that she was mizana after the mincha was already sanctified. So there, she has to get divorced. So you burn the mincha, but the mincha was initially sanctified correctly. So she kaddish meikara shaper, that it was taka a good sanctification. Shaper kaddish. So Maskef Rav Masharshi asks on Revealing Midiskarta about like Pirkei Kuna Malavan. How is it possible that she was mizana in the Azara, that she cheated on her husband, that she committed adultery in the Azara itself? If we're going to learn later that there was always people that were escorting them from when she went to from her house till they got to the Beis Hamikdash, till and then you had Pirkei Kuna, the young Kohanim that would walk her around. We're going to see this, I think, in tomorrow's daf. They had Pirkei Kuna that would walk her around the Beis Hamikdash to tire her out. But she always had Kohanim together with her. So how is it possible that she committed adultery in the Azara? She says the Gemara that she cheated on her husband. She was intimate with the Pirkei Kuna themselves. Atzman. Rav Ashi says another answer is that who said that the Pirkei Kuna are with her every single second? She was she had to go to the bathroom, and she went to the bathroom, and the Atu Pirkei Kuna bekipa talila, the Pirkei Kuna have to hold on to her tichel the whole day. The whole time they're holding on to her head covering, to her scarf. They let her go to the bathroom, and in the bathroom she was mizana over there. Okay. Rav Papa says you could say learn the brayso like we learned it originally. That she brought the mincha. That the mincha went in the kli sharis, the mincha was sanctified. Then Eidim come that she cheated on her husband, not that she cheated on her husband in the Azar, that she cheated on her husband before. So why? So we should let the mincha. We should let the mincha be exchanged and become chulin, become mundane, because it was a mincha betos. It was a mistaken mincha that it only was sanctified by accident. So says the Gemara that midrabanan, that the reason why we burn the mincha is only midrabanan. It's a rabbinic enactment. Why? Because people might say that they take from a kli sharis, from a holy vessel, and they're exchanging it for mundane flour that they're going to see. They're not going to realize that the reason is because Adam came, and they're going to think that you're able to take a carbon and make it into chol, and you're not allowed to. That's a big problem. So in order that people shouldn't think that, so midrabanan you should burn the mincha anyway, so that people should just think that the mincha became possible. Okay. Masav Rav Mari. So Rav Mari asks another shaila. Nitmeis minchasa. Oh, so 1 second. So the bottom line from what we just learned, this brayso was not a question on Rav Sheshes, because Rav Sheshes who said that the waters don't check her if there's Adam on the other side. And we said that Adam came and said that she was tmeya. So Rav Sheshes would explain this brayso that the mincha is still kosher. The mincha is kosher, and the reason why we're burning it is not that the mincha was taka mincha betos. That the mincha was not kosher, it was a pasla mincha, milchatchila, because there was Edom on the other side of the world that we didn't know about. So it was a pasla mincha, and the only reason why we have to burn it once the Edom come is because midrabanan people are going to think that you could take from kodesh and bring it to chol. Okay, Masav Ramari, another question. Nitmeis minchasa, brayso that says nitmeis minchasa, if her mincha became tamei, actually it should be kli before she sanctified it in a vessel. It's like any other mincha that becomes tamei before, and you redeem it for money, because before it goes into kli sharis, it only has kedushas damim, only the money is holy, so you can redeem it. Misha kli, once you already sanctified it in a vessel, it's like any other mincha, v'tisarif, it has to get burnt. Like we said before, once it goes into the kli sharis, it gets kedushas aguf. The actual flour is holy, and if it becomes tamei, if it becomes impure, it has to be burnt. Kidesh hakoimetz. If he sanctified the koimetz, the way the kohen would do it is that he would take a koimetz out of the mincha, and any mincha, he would stick in his middle 3 fingers, take that part of the flour, it's called the koimetz, he would put it in another vessel, and from that vessel, that's called the sanctification of the koimetz. The koimetz becomes holy, you bring that koimetz onto the mizbeach, you burn it on the mizbeach, that part goes to the Eibishter, and the rest of the mincha is eaten by the kohen. So once the koimetz was already sanctified, and before he was able to bring the koimetz onto the mizbeach, either the husband or the wife died. So once again, it gets burnt like any other mincha. because since the avodah of the mincha wasn't finished, the avodah of the mincha, in order for the Sotah carbon to work. So first of all, the husband and wife have to be alive, obviously, because if there isn't a husband and a wife, there's no point in bringing the carbon. The whole point of the carbon is in order to clarify if this woman is going to be usher on her husband or not, and if one of them died before the kaimitz was brought, so the carbon is puzzled and it gets burnt. The rest of the carbon is burnt. Once the kaimitz was already brought, and before the kohenim were able to eat the leftovers, the rest of the mincha besides for the kaimitz. Before they were able to eat the rest, either the husband or the wife died. So it's just like any other mincha, and it is able to be eaten. Why? Since originally it was brought as a suffix, we don't know if she's usher on her husband or not. So kipras feka, once the suffix is already done, which means that the avodah of the carbon is finished, that she drank the water and the mincha was brought on the mizbeach, the kaimitz. So then and it's just like any other case. Even if the husband didn't die or the wife didn't die, it's the same thing. The mincha is brought, the suffix is already finished, and now the carbon, the rest, the leftovers, the din is that it has to be eaten. So the same thing. The husband or the wife died after the avodah was already finished. The kohenim are still able to eat the rest. Now, if Edim came and said that she was defiled, that she taka was intimate with someone else, so then minchasan is trefes. Then the mincha is burnt. Okay. Why? Because now we find out that the Edim were minchasan is trefes, that the carbon is puzzled, because we know for sure that she had cheated on her. The Brisa continues, if the Edim of the stira, the Edim that said that she was secluded with this man were found out to be fake Edim. So mincha chulin, mincha becomes chulin. Why? Because now we find out that she wasn't a Sotah l'chatchila, so it was all a minchas tos. Right? So what's the question? Rav Mari's question is like this. On the last case, right, on the last brisa, we said that if the Edim came in middle, and they said that she cheated on her husband. So we said that you need to burn the mincha. And the question was, why do you need to burn the mincha? According to Rav Sheshes, there's no din of a Sotah if there were Edim somewhere else, and therefore the waters aren't going to work anyway. So why should you need to burn the mincha? In the previous case, it should just become chulin because it was a minchas tos, so it was by mistake. So we answered that midrabanan, there's this din that you have to burn it anyway, so that people shouldn't think that the kodesh is going to chulin. So now asks Rav Mari that in our case you have edim zaymimin, and we said that the mincha becomes chulin. The edim zaymimin, we proved that the edei steer were edim zaymimin. So again, we're proving that lemafreya she wasn't even a Sotah, that she was never a Sotah to begin with. So how come we say over here that the edim are that the mincha becomes chulin, that the mincha is retroactively nullified? The Gemara says, "Edim zaymimin kamrat." You're saying that you're bringing the case of edim zaymimin kala islahu, edim zaymimin kala islahu. In the case of edim zaymimin, of fake witnesses that were debunked, so it has a voice. It's going to be a famous thing, and people are going to know that the reason why the mincha was burned, that the mincha went to chulin, that the mincha was disqualified, is because of these fake witnesses. And they're not going to ask that the chulin is going, that the kodesh is going to chulin. So therefore, this case is different than the previous case, and Rav Sheshes can still stand that if there's Edim on the other side of the world, the woman is not checked by the wall. Okay, Tanya comes into Rav Sheshes. We have a brisa that follows Rav Sheshes, v'lav mitamei, but not for that reason. We have a pasuk that says, "V'imloi nitma ha'isha utahirahi v'niksav v'nizra zara." On the end of Parsha Sotah, that if the woman is pure, that if the woman if the woman is pure, and she wasn't guilty, so the waters are going to bless her, and everything is going to be good, and the waters aren't going to check her. So tahira, that she's pure, it's coming to exclude the case of where she has witnesses on the other side of the world, in a different country. In that case, also the waters are not going to check her. Utahira, the extra above, and she is pure. That's v'leisha tolsalas chus. V'leisha tolsalas chus. That in a case where she has a schos, also the waters are not going to check her. The next word, that she is pure, is coming to exclude the case where the women that spin by the light of the moon, the women that would gossip, and if they're talking about her, if the fact that she cheated on her husband is so famous that the women that spin by the by the light of the moon are talking about it. Also, over there, the waters aren't going to check it. Good. So now that's the brisa. We have all these psukim. So now Rab Shimon, who we said before, does not hold does not hold of the schos that he doesn't hold that schos is tedim my mamar. He says that schos that even with schos the water does check the woman. The so nehi devav leidorish. Nehi devav leidorish. So the pasuk said the schos came from the utahira, the extra vav. So it could be that Rab Shimon doesn't hold of the extra vav. A lot of times you find that Tanoim don't hold of learning dinim out of an extra vav. So Rab Shimon doesn't hold out of the extra vav. So you have the case of Edim Medinas Hayam that Rab Shimon we said before on Vav Amud Aleph that just like Rab Shimon doesn't hold of schus, Rab Shimon doesn't hold that Edim Medinas Hayam the water doesn't check. We said that Rab Shimon would hold that the water does check by Edim Medinas Hayam. So it says Rab Shimon that Edim Medinas Hayam lo yishchicha. It's not a common thing. And Rab Shimon would hold that Edim Medinas Hayam take the water does not check. Just like Rav Sheshes. Rav Shimon agrees with Rav Sheshes. So Rav Shimon was concerned that if the water is not going to check a woman who has edim, or if his case was by schos, that if the water is not going to check a woman who has a schos, then when it comes to people that were taka innocent, people are going to think that they were guilty, just they had a schos. So says the Gemara that Rav Shimon would agree that by Medinas Hayam, that when you have edim in a different country, the water still doesn't check. So your concern is that people are going to suspect her that she was guilty, just she has edim. So no one's going to think that she has edim in a different country, because it's a very uncommon thing that she had edim that watched the act of intimacy with another man, which is, first of all, that's very uncommon because she would make sure to do it privately. And not only that, the edim went to faraway land. Right? It's a very uncommon case that people who see a woman who drank the Sotah water and she didn't die from it, people aren't going to right away think, oh, she probably is guilty, just yet she has edim in Medinas Hayam. So Reb Shimon would agree with this din. And with that, we'll leave Daf Zayin by the Mishnah. We're going to continue after Yom Tiv. Everyone have a good Yom Tiv. And shkoyach.